Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Pasadena MMA. Let's get straight into it. Today I'm talking about some fights that I still cannot believe happened. Like, the result, right, of the fight. This is just me going to be getting mad the whole video, I'm going to be honest. This is mostly just my favorite fighters getting destroyed, but let's start off with one that is going to traumatize the whole community, bringing back... Boom, look at that. Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. My God, the hype coming into this fight for me was crazy because it was a really good card. At least I thought it was a great card. I don't know if that's controversial or not, but it was a sick card. Coming back, first proper full of pay-per-view event coming back from COVID, and this was the main event. And Tony Habib was booked. Obviously, he got cancelled, and Gaethje stepped in. And this was for the interim belt. So if Tony won this, he was going to fight Habib. He was on the peak of his win streak. And he was a big favourite among the fans. You know, the narrative going into the fight was Justin Gaethje had to knock Tony out early, or he's going to gas out and Tony's going to win late. He's going to destroy Gaethje. He's going to tear him apart. And I remember people, Tony's always been vulnerable to his own defense. Even in his prime, he was getting dropped. What saved him was his recovery. And then the fight starts, and it's kind of competitive. Tony lands that uppercut, but then Gaethje just dominates throughout. As you can see in this photo, I'm actually struggling to look at the photo, but this is everyone's least favorite fight. This is a fight I never really rewatch. It is such a hard fight to watch. Everybody cried. And Justin Gaethje ruined one of the most hyped matchups in UFC history and sent Tony on an 8-fight losing streak. So I cannot believe this happened. This is terrible, and I want to stop talking about it. So let's move on. We got Ilia Topuria versus Volkanovski. You probably expected this one. This wasn't absolutely shocking. A lot of people thought this could happen because Volk was coming off very quickly from the Islam knockout, and Topuria is extremely powerful. But then he just cleanly knocks out Volk. It was a clean KO, out cold. One right hand did the job. And I just can't believe still that this is what ended Volk's reign. Because obviously 2 fights ago, Volk arguably beats Islam, goes back down, destroys Yair Rodriguez. And then he takes a short notice fight against Islam. It was like, oh shit, this can go really bad. And it went the worst possible way. Topuria then becomes a villain of the UFC, knocking out Volk and sending everybody into disbelief. Let's move on. So these next two are kind of related. But we got Whittaker versus Duplessis. I don't know if people remember, but not many people thought Duplessis was going to win this fight. Whittaker was a big favourite. As so many people had DDP counted out, including me. We just thought DDP was too loose. Whittaker would piece him up because that's just kind of what he did to every other contender. And it's not like Rob was washed. DDP, we know now, but he looks shit in every fight, but then wins. And then just somehow DDP just walks through him. He finishes him in the second round, and this is when the plot armor became real, because this was not meant to happen. This is what started Duplessis' just absolutely nonsensical reign, and it was the craziest moment of the card. Great card, but man, this just was not supposed to happen, and still crazy. And the next one is related. I am still so mad at this, and it's so much worse now after the Imavov fight. Man, Izzy was piecing him up a bit. He was winning. He was doing so well. And DDP just somehow just goofs his way to... He starts catching Izzy like you see in this photo, and he's going and going. He turns the fight into a war, and just such a sloppy mess that he just starts catching Izzy everywhere. Obviously gets him down and submits him. As the fight got closer, going into the fight, I gave DDP more of a chance, but I still thought Izzy was going to counter him hard and just again and again and finish him. Which was kind of looking like, but it was more looking like Izzy was just pacing him up to a decision. But then Izzy just got tired and he was getting caught. I rewatched the fight not long ago. It was just so competitive. Izzy was building momentum. He was getting better as the fight went on. And DDP just fucks it. Fucks the whole thing. See, I'm not as mad as I was because I like DDP a lot now. Don't get me wrong, Izzy got me into the sport. He is still probably my favourite fighter of all time. Probably always will be. And it's just so hard to watch. And I actually wrote a little bit of my notes here before the Imavov fight. And I wrote I'd pick Izzy in a rematch. I don't know about now after the Imavov fight, man. This one really hurts. But yeah, so going from this next one, again, kind of related. It just kind of has to be mentioned. God damn it. This shit still makes me mad. I haven't rewatched it since, and I'm never gonna. It should not have happened. It goes without saying. This was a huge upset, and it just sends middleweight. It sent middleweight into a huge fucking circle pit. Man, watching this just the whole time, I thought Izzy was gonna, eventually pick it up. He was then gonna counter Strickland, but Strickland not taken away from Strickland. He put on a great performance. Yeah, this fight sucks, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. I got two more to talk about. This next one is, and so obviously it's a kind of a staple of just going into the UFC. It's a very popular knockout, but it doesn't really get brought up these days that much. Obviously because both fighters are out of the UFC now and all that. But Masvidal versus Askren. I feel like, I'm not going to say it's an underrated win, but I feel like it gets a little overshadowed now because of where Masvidal is in his career. He's not doing so good, obviously. But no matter where you were or who you are, this knockout was one of the most iconic in history. It's such a crazy knockout. I remember I didn't even make a sound when this happened. My jaw just dropped and I did not know what to think. It was quite early in my UFC watching career. This is UFC 239. The first event I watched in full was 234, I want to say. So this was really recent going in, like moving into the UFC. So this was just crazy to see. The narrative going in was Askren was probably going to control Masvidal for 3 rounds. And a lot of people still think that if Masvidal didn't land that knee, that would have happened. I don't know. I think it would have been close, but I just feel like Masvidal was at a point in his career where he was so just good at finishing guys. And Askren was obviously an absolutely terrible striker. As long as he doesn't throw that back fist, then it's over for Masvidal. But I feel like he would have got pieced up and probably dropped anyway. And he probably would have taken enough damage for the fight to get stopped maybe in the 2nd or 3rd round. But man, obviously this completely finished Ben Askren's career. Yeah, crazy fight. And this last one I'm going to talk about it very quickly. This, obviously I've picked this photo instead of the iconic one because I don't want to look at it. But this fight, this is the closest I've ever gotten to actually crying while watching UFC. Because Tony, he was looking so good in the first round. It was vintage Tony. He dropped Chandler. He was doing his thing. Bam, bam. Goes out the 2nd round. And then done. It's all over. Being a Tony fan, going through, and a lot of people can relate, obviously, going through this whole thing, this was the worst moment throughout Ferguson's whole downfall. Like, I feel like it was worse than the Bobby Green submission and worse than getting him getting beaten by Paddy Pimblett. Because at least then, he was clearly washed. It's not like he was putting up a competitive fight. In this, he won the first round, or almost. And then he gets just colded in the 2nd round. And it's a terrible fight to look back on. And I don't really watch it. I just kind of try and block it out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. That's all I got for today. Nice quick video. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.